Well, we obviously met this week, had a simulated practice yesterday. We'll have again today, and then tomorrow we'll start Monday prep on Florida. We've done a lot of film work on them as well. Obviously, they haven't played their latest game coming up against against Georgia, but it's been a good week. We're trying to get some guys healed up and things of that nature, and obviously with an offensive coordinator change, we're going through that as well.
We'll begin with Andrew Hutchison of the Best of Arkansas Sports.
Yes, Sam, we didn't really ask you much about Derek Keefe the other day. Just kind of what have you seen from him this year, and what made him kind of the option to promote him to the wide receiver coach?
He's a mature guy, has a good relationship with the kids, knows the offense, went through the offense, knows the terminology. I think anytime you make a change, I think during the season, I think the biggest thing is the terminology the same for the kids. Do we have coaches that can coach that terminology, what we're trying to get done, so they're able to continue to play fast and things of that nature. And he played in that system, and he also has obviously been an analyst in that system. So he was an easy choice regarding that.
And then also, you mentioned on Monday cutting down the playbook. Just what does that process look like? Do you see which ones have been the most efficient? Do you talk to KJ, see what he's comfortable with? Just how do you go about cutting down the playbook?
I think you are right with what you're saying. I think obviously we did. We went to our most efficient runs, what they may be, and then we looked at, does that fit what Florida's doing, like you would any weekly game plan. Certainly have talked to the quarterbacks about, or KJ specifically, about what he feels good about running in the offense, about his throws, about his potential to run. And then we obviously have to take into consideration our offensive line, what we can do and what we're not doing well. And if we're not doing it well, it doesn't matter what your design of the play with. If we can't block it, then it's not going to have success. So we've obviously done a lot of soul searching inside, trying to find out how we can be a efficient offense, and we'll continue to work on that as we go forward.
Thanks, Sam.
Next is Mike Rodak of 24/7 Sports.
So what is your stance on radios and helmets being adopted in college football potentially?
I'm all for it.
Easy enough. Thank you.
Thank you. 100% for it.
Next is David Pascal of Chattanooga Town Street Press.
Hey, Sam, I know you've had a couple of games that were 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 have been really difficult. Tennessee, did this past weekend against Alabama as well. What makes those situations? Why are SEC teams, having such a challenge on 3rd and short and 4th and short? And do you think it's any tougher than maybe a generation ago, getting that 1 yard?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with who you're playing. Obviously, we've tried fast sneaks, we've tried inside zones, we've tried stretch play, and obviously, our 4th down conversion rate's not bad until you go to 1 yard, and then at that point, I think we've not made 4 of them, and I don't really know exactly why. I think the D-line are certainly bigger than they have been, but your O-line usually is bigger than it has been too. I just think we all have to have possibilities of tossing the ball outside and doing some things that probably old school is not comfortable. The closest way to get a yard is to go, up the middle, and so I think we're we are reevaluating that as well. But it's not a big deal if you go first down and you get no yards. But boy, it's big on 4th and 1, and I just think that the intensity and the practice and the kids understanding and everybody understanding that this is not you have another down after that is a big deal, and sometimes the defense is better than you, but I think it has a lot to do with all those things.
And I know that football has such a copycat element to it at times. How difficult would it be mid-season to implement what the Philadelphia Eagles do? I mean, I guess they've had like a 93% success rate each of these last 2 years. I know Jalen Hurts has incredible lower body strength, but, you've got a big-sized quarterback. How tough would that be to implement something like that?
Well, we ran it twice on Saturday, and one it worked. Of course, the second one we fumbled. I do believe we would have had the first down if we didn't, but we fumbled on it, which brings the spot back. They got it anyway, but we have tried to use that, and starting as early as last week.
Thank you.
Next is Tom Murphy, the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Hey, Sam, you talked about simulated practice yesterday, and maybe it's hard to measure, but because you talked about enthusiasm and spirit on defense has been good, but not so much the other side. Could you measure maybe how excited maybe the guys are for the change?
I think the kids are excited. Again, that's nothing negative towards Coach Enos. It's just I think they're excited. Obviously, when things have been difficult, one of the answers is change. The other answer, obviously, is to get better at what you're doing and those things. And we've tried that, and I feel like the kids feel like there is opportunity there for new life, maybe, or whatever you want to say. But we weren't doing what our offense, we weren't doing it well. And so the only way I knew how to do it was to try to change it. And certainly the kids have bought into that real well over the last 2 days.
Following up on the helmet communications question, I'm sure you've seen in the news what's happening at Michigan, and I'm wondering what you think about just the whole concept of what teams are doing to, get ahead up.
Well, I don't believe in feigning. I don't think it's part of the game. I don't believe in stealing signals. I don't think it's part of the game. So I think the helmet situation would help tremendously in those aspects. I don't know why we can't do it. We should be able to do it, and it would take some of those situations that you just mentioned. It would take some of that out of the game and make sure that it's all fair.
Next is Jackson Fuller of the Southwest Times Record.
Hey, Sam, just wondering if you can kind of walk through what this week's been like for Kenny. How prepared was he for the switch, not only to coordinator but to quarterbacks coach, and how he's handling everything right now?
Yeah, good question. I think Kenny's ready. He obviously knows the offense. He's more knowledgeable than even what I thought in the run game. Obviously, I've been in every meeting. I stepped out of the one that I was in now to talk to y'all, but I'll go right back to it. So I'm trying to help in every aspect I can in the running game. But he's ready for it. More importantly than that, he believes that he's ready for it, and the players believe that he's ready for it. So I think it's been, I go back to Auburn last year and Cadillac going and him becoming the head coach, and they beat A&M, and they beat Western Kentucky. They played Mississippi State real tough, who was a really fine team on the road. It's all about we lost our spirit on offense, and we've got to get it back. I think Kenny has a great rapport with the kids, and he's very knowledgeable, and I think the kids believe in him, and that'll make us play better right then and there. We obviously have to block them better, and we have to do things like that, but you also have to have the enthusiasm to do that, and I think that's what he's bringing to our offensive staff.
Thank you. Coach, we'll wrap you up with Blake Topmeyer of the USA Today Network.
All right.
Hi, Sam. Maybe you've been alluding to it a little bit, but why do you think things didn't work out with Dan Enos?
You know, I can't really put my finger on it because he's a hell of a coach, a good man, and has had great success in his career. And I really don't know, you know, maybe we aren't a pocket protection team. You know, we ran it, I don't know, probably averaged 8 to 10 dropbacks a game in the previous 3 years, maybe a little bit more when Felipe Franks was here. It's just our quarterback wasn't great at just sitting in the pocket. Our wideouts weren't getting open. We couldn't protect a lot of things. Maybe that's part of it, but I just think everything was hard for us. Everything very difficult. 3 yards was difficult, and I don't know exactly why, because Dan's a fine coach. So I can't really put my finger on it, but I do know that we lost our spirit, and how we did that, I really can't put a finger on that, but we've got to get it back.
Is there anything you would evaluate differently the next time you go to hire an offensive coordinator?
I don't think so. I mean, you know, we hired a defensive coordinator when Barry was fortunate enough to go get the job at UNLV, and it worked out, doing a great job. And we hired an offensive coordinator. For whatever reason, it didn't. I don't think so, you know, because I liked the offense they were running at Maryland. I liked the offense we ran when I was with Dad here. You hate to admit that it didn't work out, and you did your research on what you thought was correct, but I did. It didn't work out, so I don't know that I would change the way that I made the hire. No.
Got it. Thank you.
Coach, thank you.
Thank you.